Another thing that's been coming up a lot is antibody tests. We see them being offered kind of everywhere in New York these days. But we're hearing reports that they're unreliable. Do you have any advice? Should we get tested? Who should get tested? Also, in general, what I've learned in science is that antibodies do help with immunity.
Mhm.
Why are there concerns that antibodies might not?
Okay, so first, Lael, I'd like to just say what an antibody is, because these words are being thrown around, and you know, uh, people are questioning what is an antibody. And not to be scientific, but it is a molecule. It's actually a protein that is made in response to infectious agents. And our immune system, that's its main function, is to protect us from not only viruses but bacterial infections and tumors, tumors that are arising. And so it's very important that we have a competent, full strength antibodies, full strength immunity. And unfortunately, as we get older, um, and it starts our immune system starts to decline in terms of competence. Let's just say we're not what we used to be, and younger people in their 20s, they do have a full-blown immune system, but as we age, the power of the immune system declines. So okay, so an antibody is one part of our host that puts out these protective mechanisms, these protective actions. And there are many different types of antibodies. Once, when you're sick early on, you form what's known as uh, antibodies or immunoglobulins that are of a type M. And there are also name that are called IgG. And IgG are those antibodies that form a little bit later, right after the infection, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and they protect you for longer periods of time. So the antibody tests, there are antibody tests that test for IgM. Do you have an ongoing reaction? Are you active in your infection? Has it just ended? The IgG, which most test kits are using, the immunoglobulin G, are those antibodies which are formed and last for a while. So just having the antibodies doesn't mean that you're immune. There are many different viruses, many different infections, which you can have immunity for your whole life, like smallpox. Once you get a smallpox vaccine, you are protected your whole life. Once you get the flu, you know that you have to be tested, or you have to get a vaccine every year. So vaccines and immunity don't necessarily last forever. Now, where are we now? Where the scientists are not sure how long these antibodies that you're making will be effective for. Will they be like smallpox? Will it grant you immunity for your whole life? Will it grant you immunity for a week? Will it grant you immunity for a month? So until that's known, that's difficult to predict. The other thing is that in order for antibodies to give you the immunity that you need, it must be effective. So just by knowing you have antibodies present does not mean they are the type of antibody that you need to protect you against virally infected cells. So what kind of antibodies do we need? We need those antibodies that are called neutralizing antibodies that can help kill the virally infected cells. Viruses, no matter what type, including all the coronaviruses and coronavirus 19, they don't live very long outside the body. But once they get in the body, they take over the individual cells, and they are little reproducing units. They make more and more and more within different cells of the body. And so you make antibodies, the body is doing what it needs to do. But right now, the idea of someone being recovered from it and having full immunity or having even partial immunity is not clear. So should we go out and test for antibodies? Sure, sure, because as the science catches up with this new virus, it will be able to let you know how long you might be immune for, and whether those are the antibodies that will neutralize the virus.